Parts I ordered from BMI Carts came in. Rear axle, bearing kit, and sprocket hub. A couple of little things came in. So let's get back to building our mini bike. What I've done is put our 1-inch axle in our jig and then sandwiched our sprocket adapter and then our hub with our disc rotor on it against the jig, and measured everything and centered the axle up in the jig, and then measured from the center of the jig post to the edge of the axle bearing hangers. Make sure those were centered. Centered the frame that we already made and marked it, and then marked our new frame. This is the lower rear section of the frame. 2 90s welded together. There is a slug in the middle, so it's nice and strong. Sits in those notches in the frame that's got the motor mount on it, and it's just some heavy tacks. Runs back and up to our bearing hangers. It is a little long, so I'll have to lob that off and see if I can find some metal end cap I can put on the frame to weld on there. If you notice, the bearing hangers are sitting up. The next part of the rear frame will come up like that and mount here. So this being at the top will not affect anything. But what we need to do now is we need to come from the neck back down at a little angle, and then it's going to drop and notch and get welded here. So let's go ahead and measure and bend that up and notch that tube and get it in place. Well, guys, your boy strikes again. So, you know how I leave stuff in the videos, the mistakes that I make, so that hopefully if you watch this and you're trying to do the same thing, you don't do the same thing. So I got the backbone done, and I stood back and I was like, man, that looks pretty sweet. I like that angle, I like how it dips down, and the back, the down leg of the backbone matches the angle of that front tube. So I was like, man, this couldn't fall together any better. In the back of my mind, I kept telling myself, Robert, that down leg's got to come at 90. But I couldn't remember why. I set that backbone up, and then I threw the motor up there. It doesn't fit. Let me show you. Yeah, if we turn the motor so that it clears the down leg of the backbone, guess what? Nowhere near matching up on our motor plate. It's either I cut the motor plate and move it forward, or I cut this backbone piece out and bend a new one. Either way, it sucks. So I'm gonna sit down and have a think about how I want to handle this and which way I'm gonna go, and I'll bring you back once I get myself together. Well, it's a good thing I sat down and kind of thought about how to fix our little dilemma. And in reality, all I needed to do was move the motor forward. So some of the material that I had trimmed off the motor mount, I simply added back, tack welded it, and extended the bolt slots for the motor. And well, this is what we got. So what I need to do now is duplicate this leg, and then I've already put my lines on these lower legs where I want to cut it. Double check everything, measure, make sure everything's nice and square, and then fully weld it. There will be some gussets added and some additional tubes that kind of triangulate everything and give it a lot of support. I want this thing to be very rigid. Yeah, we're getting there. Well, I think we're at a stopping point. I've got to get a new tire for the rear. It's dry rotted on the sidewalls and starting to leak. The front, same thing with the tube. It's dry rotted and won't hold air, so I got to replace the tube. Torque converter is on the way. I have to order a seat. A couple other little odds and ends. These are just temporary bars. It's just a piece of conduit. I think I had this on the bicycle that the front end came from, just so I can move it around the garage. What I'll end up doing is get the motor, torque converter, and the rear end all figured out, get a chain on it and everything, and then what I'll do is attach the seat to the frame, and then we'll have the owner come over and see where their hands will naturally kind of go, and that'll determine the style and height of our bars. And then I can also figure out where and what kind of foot pegs we're going to put on this. So yep, we got to stop because I need parts. Parts aren't here yet. All right, that's it for this one. Until next time, get up, get out there, and do it.